Welcome to It's a Grand Life, where our mission is to be a voice for grand families and kinship caregivers everywhere. Did you know that in the United States alone, there are 2.3 million grandparents raising their grandchildren? 2.3 million. It's a Grand Life is committed to making a difference for those kids. That's why we have the podcast, a Facebook group, and the Grand Fund. The Grand Fund, which is a 501c3 which was launched in June of 2024, provides financial assistance to grand families, including shelter, food, clothing, and household needs. Grand families are in every neighborhood, in every city, every tribe, and territory nationwide. If this is you or someone you love, we're here for you, and we welcome you to join us on this mission. Our goal is to offer hope and resources to help you. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us wherever you get your podcasts and leave a review. You can also join our Facebook group. Just search for it under It's a Grand Life. And your reviews, comments, and sharing of our podcasts help us reach others that need assistance. Welcome to another episode of It's a Grand Life. Hello, my name is Craig Nash, and we'd like to invite you to another It's a Grand Life. This week, it's a grand life, but it's a very serious discussion this week, and it's for grandparents who are raising their grandkids. And we've got special guest, FBI Supervisory Special Agent Brian Drake with us again. He was with us last time and talked about the problems with cryptocurrency and how we grandparents are falling for this. If it's too good to be true, it is. But Supervisory Special Agent Brian Drake, thank you so much for joining us. And you're targeting today scams specifically for our audience, grandparent scams. We can't wait to hear what you have for us.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And I hope everyone takes away something from this and shares it with that friend or a family member, because there's a lot to know here. And it's good information to keep yourself safe.
So how bad is the grandparent scam problem? I know that on the last show, we talked about the huge increase in financial loss for folks over 60 years old, and most of the grandparents I know are over 60. How bad is it with grandparent scams?
Yes, the grandparent scams are quite prevalent. They have been for a couple of years now, but it's increasing. Not as much as some of the other ones that are out there, like the last one we talked about with pig butchering, but it is on the rise, and this is something that everyone should know about. Some of these have been around for a few years, like I said, but some are, they're tweaking it a bit with artificial intelligence, and that is a portion of all the scams that are out there that needs to be highlighted and talked about almost ad nauseum, because of the fact that artificial intelligence is the wave of the future. I mean, it's here, but it's only going to get worse. And they are using that in the grandparent scam and many of the other scams that are out there. And so we could talk about whatever you'd like about this, but I can start with what is a grandparent scam, if you like.
Absolutely. Yeah, take us right from the beginning. It sounds great.
Okay, so grandparent scam, our definition of it anyway, is criminals who pose as a relative, usually a child or a grandchild, claiming to be in immediate financial need. And it also could be somebody who's not a family member too. And I'll give you a great example of this. So one of the popular grandparent scams is grandma, grandpa, I've been arrested, I'm in jail, and I need bail. Okay. Or it's a hospital calls, or they purport themselves as being part of a hospital, and they say, hello, your grandchild, so-and-so has been injured. They're at the hospital here. They're fine. We've taken care of them. They're being ready to be released, but they need to pay the medical bill before we can release them. Okay. So in those two instances, excuse me, you answer the phone, and all of a sudden it's like an emergent situation. You're worried about somebody's been in jail or somebody's been hurt. 2 phone calls that no one in the world ever wants to get. So they've already got your mind went from, you're having a great day to, oh my gosh, my family member is in dire need here. I need to help them. And so that first instance in those phone calls gets you, kind of hyped up, I guess, for lack of a better term. So with that, they know that you're going to be worried about, oh my gosh, this is something that needs to happen now. I got to bail them out now. I need to, get them from the hospital now, see how they're doing. And so they get that sense of immediacy right away. Okay. And they'll want you to pay in a number of different forms of payment. They might ask for cash through the mail. They might ask for a wire transfer. They might ask for gift cards. They might ask for cryptocurrency, a money order. If any of these things happen, first off, don't just know that, think about it for a second, because, and I try to tell everyone this, is when you get a call like this and there's something like, oh my gosh, this is something very exigent, very immediate,
right,
something's happening, take a breath. Please take a breath. Just take a deep breath and go, what is happening right now? Is this real? Is this possible? Would my grandchild, do something to where they would get arrested? Does this sound right? Would Sally or Billy rob a store or, run from the police or whatever to get arrested? Does this make sense? And that's where taking that second, taking that deep breath and thinking about it for a minute, take 60 seconds. That's all you need, 60 seconds, think about it. Same thing with the medical thing. Oh my gosh, they're hurt. Oh, I got to go get them. I got to go help them. Wait a second. Confirm that this is what has happened. If Billy's hurt, and it's your grandson, call your son or daughter, whoever kid it is, and say, hey, is Billy there? Simple thing you can do to help yourself and save yourself money. Because this actually happened to a lady in one of my presentations. It's a really good story. So she was a grandparent. Mm-hmm. She got a call or I think it was a text message. I can't remember if it was a text message or a call. Anyway, she got notified that her granddaughter was in trouble, and they had sent her a picture of her in a perilous position, almost like, hey, she's going to get hurt if you don't send us this money. And this doesn't make any sense to her. What she did exactly what I want you guys to do. She took a second and goes, what? This doesn't make any sense. Lily wouldn't do this. She wouldn't be in a position or hang out with people who would do this or be in a place where this would happen. It doesn't make any sense. So she called her daughter and said, hey, is Lily at home? She's like, yeah, she's upstairs sleeping. So, are you sure? Are you sure that she's upstairs sleeping? Yeah. Can you go and check, please? I just want to make sure. So the daughter goes upstairs and checks. Yeah, I'm looking right at her. She's in bed napping right now. And she's like, oh my gosh, thank you. This guy sent me this photo and told me that she was, and going to be hurt if I didn't send this money. And so it was a grandparent scam targeting her, and she could have been victimized if she didn't take that second to think about it. This doesn't make sense. If something doesn't make sense, there's probably a reason. The hairs in the back of your neck are standing up, your stomach's a little queasy, there's something wrong here. Something doesn't add up. Take that second, trust your gut, and don't fall for these scams. Because the other part of these scams is how they're morphing these grandparent scams is rather scary, actually. And I'll explain to you why they're scary. Because they're starting to use artificial intelligence with these scams. And if any of you out there have a social media account of any kind, and you post pictures, you post video, your grandsons or your sons and daughters or grandsons and daughters have their own accounts, and if they post video and or pictures, any of you can be victimized in this way. And this actually happened in my family. I was at my father's 80th birthday party the other day, and I found out that my dad's cousin came up to me. He's like, hey, how's it going? Can I talk to you for a second? Sure. Hey, my mom, which is my dad's aunt, almost got scammed out of her life savings the other day. And I asked, what are you talking about? How did it? He's like, it was this close, and he had his fingers really close. They almost happened.
Unbelievable.
And she's about 100 years old, 101 years old. And she's with us. She has all her faculties. She's very smart. But she got duped on this one. Didn't lose any money, thank goodness. But this is how it happened. And this can happen to any of us. I don't care who you are. If you think you're smarter than these guys, you're not. These guys are really, really good. Okay. And this is how it happened. They got his voice from social media video, cloned his voice, called her. So she thought she was talking to her son when she was actually talking to the bad guy. Okay, told her, hey, I see on the bank accounts there's something wrong with your bank accounts. We need to do some changes here. We need to get change your username and your password, to protect us because there's something going on with your accounts. And so she's like, okay, it's going to take me a minute to get my stuff together to do that. I got to find everything. And so they go, okay, fine. Just let us know when you're ready, and calls back. So she calls back to her actual son and says, hey, I got all the information for you for the bank accounts. And he's like, what are you talking about? I didn't ask for any of this. She's like, yeah, you did. You called me and you said there was something wrong with my bank accounts. There was not anything wrong with her bank accounts. They had cloned her son's voice and made it sound like him. Okay. And she was really close to losing all of her life savings. And luckily she called back her son, and her son's like, no, Mom, you're being scammed. That was not me. I didn't talk to you. There's nothing wrong with your accounts. Don't communicate with those people ever again. If they call, block the number, whatever. But they're cloning voices now, and they can do that. So they can clone Sally and Billy's voice, saying that they're in jeopardy. Oh, Grandma, Grandpa, I've been hurt. I need help. You send money. Something's going to happen to me if you don't send the money, and you got to send it now. Because that's the other thing with these, is they want it done now. Immediacy. And then they might say, don't tell anyone. I'm embarrassed about what happened. Don't say anything. I just want to keep this between you and me. I love you, Grandpa and Grandma. Thank you. They'll play to, their relationship like that. And so we don't want that to happen. So everyone needs to be mindful that this is out there. How do you combat a voice that sounds like your family member? It's a great question. Everyone's asked me that same question. And how do you do that? There's somebody in one of my presentations, he had come up with an idea to where him and his family, which I thought was a very good idea, though we don't endorse anything here at the FBI. I mean, it was just an idea that he had, was that come up with a code at the beginning of a conversation between you and your family members, so that you know what that code is, so that okay, it's legitimately them, because AI can't do that. And the bad guys aren't going to know your code. So unless you broadcast it, which would not do that.
So would this be a situation where Grandma could have said, Johnny, we're going to use our code word. Do you remember what that is? And then that gentleman wouldn't know, the criminal wouldn't know the code word, and that just shut the whole thing down?
Yep, absolutely. That would work too. Yeah. Something specific that only known between you and your family member. Yep, that works.
So, let me ask you a policy question here. Just thinking about social media and Facebook, which a lot of us older folks are on. And do you discourage involvement on social media?
No, I don't discourage social media stuff. It's just be cognizant of what is out there, like what the capabilities are the bad guys have now, especially with AI. They can do whatever they want. They can take your image. They only need seconds of video of you. When I say seconds, like 3 seconds, 5 seconds of video of you, and they can regenerate you doing whatever they want. So they can make up a video of you doing something that you never did. And these are out there. They've been out there for years with the deep fakes that you've seen. Mm-hmm. They've had it with Tom Cruise and Joe Rogan and President Obama making a speech that he never made. Right. There's a lot of that out there, and the capability is there. And it used to be like you had to be really sophisticated with this capability. You had to have like these special computers and software and all this stuff. The stuff now is becoming so prevalent that these large criminal organizations have this stuff, and it's easy for them to generate it. And there's some folks that can do it. You can do this AI stuff at your own home. So please know that is a possibility.
So as the AI becomes more and more prevalent, and I know it's everywhere, this is going to be a bigger problem for you, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, we're working on that.
I mean, this is the whole idea of taking a deep breath. I mean, you'd have to really have a presence of mind, because you're upset about your grandson or something happening to your granddaughter or your son and your 100-year-old grandma, man. And then say, hey, does this sound right? Does it make sense? I mean, confirming the reality of the situation, you've really got to be on your game.
You do. And hopefully through this education, and we tell them, like, this is the signs to look for, that take a breath won't be so far off in their mind, that it'll be, close to the top of mind, or maybe not top of mind, but close to it, to where they're like, okay, I need to take a second here. I need to double check that this is actually happening.
And you talked about the two main instances you're seeing of this are for medical bills or for a relative in jail. Is one more prevalent than the other, or um,
No, and they come up with different schemes besides those two also.
okay.
So their creativity knows no bound. That's one thing I got to say about these guys. If these scammers actually put their abilities to good use, to positive use, it's amazing what I think we would change. They would change the world. But their creativity is unbelievable. So I say those two as examples, but that's not an exhaustive list by any stretch.
Right.
And they come up with new stuff all the time.
So let's say that we've identified a plot to take grandma's money, and we alert with the presence of mind of calling the IC or notifying the IC3.gov website with the FBI, and you have a solid lead on a criminal. What happens then? Do you guys actually go to some of these countries or follow up with your field agents and see if you can't stop these criminals?
Yeah. So how that works is we get the IC3 complaint in, and if there's an investigation to be had, like if there's a loss, like if you were almost scammed where they called you and you didn't fall for it, but you reported to us, thanks for reporting it to us and all the specifics around it, that does help us. We wouldn't open up a case on that unless somebody actually had a loss, a monetary loss, then we would. So let's say we do have a monetary loss. Let's say, it's $1 million. Okay, so we go and open up a case. We track the folks back because if they use the internet to do this or the phone, we track the phone or the internet, IP addresses back to where it originated. Let's say it originated in Nigeria. Okay,
Right.
let's just throw it out there. Nigeria is, for argument's sake. So we would then work with our headquarters to reach out to what are called legats, okay, over in Nigeria, in our embassy over there. And our legat would go, they have relationships with the national and local police authorities in that country. And so if we had, let's say, an arrest warrant or a search warrant or whatever, we would provide that information to our legat. Our legat would then give it to the local authorities to that country or the national authorities, whoever we're working with. And then they would, depending on the country, execute the warrant for us or get their own country's warrant based off of ours. And then they would go execute their own warrant. And then hopefully either arrest the guy or search their office or house or whatever we're asking to search to get evidence to help further the crime. And then once all the elements of the crime have been satisfied for us for prosecution, we would ask for an extradition, like arrest warrant would be issued, and then extradite them back to the United States. And we actually had Nigeria was a country that extradited folks back to the United States in the past 6 months for us. So
Wow.
yeah, it actually works. It does work.
So that's really exciting.
Mhm.
You can work on some prevention steps by putting them right out of business. That would be
Yes.
absolutely wonderful. So
Yes.
to again just kind of summarize the grandparent scam, you've got to have presence of mind to know that anybody asking for cash or a wire or a gift certificate, that's a scam.
Yes.
And you need to take a deep breath when you're confronted with this and ask yourself some common sense questions. Does this sound right? Does this sound like something Billy would do? And does it make sense? And confirm the reality of the situation. But the cloning of the relative's voice, that's a toughie.
It is. It's tough to hear about. It's scary, but where it's going to go in the future. And so hopefully, the idea of these interactions, going on a podcast, getting in front of people and speaking about this stuff, a lot of it is negative, and it seems very scary. And that's not the hope. That's not the point here. Is to scare people about this stuff. It's to educate them, know that this is out there. These are the capabilities that are out there and are being used.
Right.
So it's not something that is 1 in 10 million people are going to experience this. It's going to be close to home. It's going to happen. So be mindful of it. The more education we can do to let people know that this is out there, the better off they're going to be to protect themselves and keep their life savings, because you've worked too hard for it. You should not lose it.
And but the website of IC3.gov. That's good for anybody in the country, right? If you're
Yes, it
listening to
is.
this in Alaska, it's good. If you're in Alabama,
It doesn't matter. Yeah, we actually even get folks from other countries that report stuff into IC3. Yeah, so it's good for all 50 states and the territories of the United States.
but now, do you have a couple more minutes if I ask you about a couple other scams?
Sure.
The we're talking about grandparents who are raising their grandkids primarily, and I would imagine that romance scams kind of fall into this neighborhood as well. That if you're a widow or a widower, you're lonely. Your wife of a million years is gone, and a romance scam you might be a good target for that. Am I heading in the right direction?
Oh my goodness, yes, you are. There is a lot here too. So yes, romance scams are on the rise. They are very prevalent, and a lot of people fall for the romance scams. And it's because, I mean, I don't want to say we have a loneliness problem in this country, but there are a lot of people who are lonely here. Okay, and it could be, especially for the older folks, 60 plus, where they lose a loved one, their husband or their wife, and they 6 months, a year later, they're like, I'm going to get myself out there. I'm lonely. I want some companionship. So they will go to the romance sites that are out there, like a Match.com or Farmers. There's a whole host of them out there. Those are just ones I can think off the top of my head. And they will, go on those and try to identify profiles that they would want to talk with, and then they select one and they start communicating with them. And what happens in these romance scams is, some of these profiles are fake and they're scammers. Okay, some of these profiles, and so they get you on the romance site. They begin to talk with you, but a hallmark sign of these romance scams is them taking you from communicating on the site to communicating in an encrypted messaging app like WhatsApp. Okay. And then if somebody does that, if you're talking with somebody and they want to move you onto an encrypted messaging app, your hairs in the back of your neck should be standing up, and you should be thinking twice about this. Okay. Because these romance scams are used for a number of things. One is they're used for targeting you to take your money. Specifically, they're targeting you. Okay, they could be targeting you for another scam down the road that is not harming you, but it helps them. Like when I talk about that, is like being a money mule. Okay, and what a money mule is they'll develop that relationship with you, and then they'll be like, after 6 months of building a relationship, hey, can you do me a favor? And you, yeah, sure. What do you need to do? Can you, I'm going to send you a $10,000 check, and can you deposit it in your bank account for me? And then in a month or so, I'll ask you to wire some of that money to another account. Can you do that for me? Sure, whatever you need, that's fine. And so you do that. And he sends you $10,000. It's like, hey, you can keep two. So you end up sending $8,000 to whatever bank he asked you to in a month's time. Well, you just committed a crime and didn't know it. Okay, you just committed money laundering, which is a big felony in the federal system. You're looking at, a long sentence in there. Okay, so that is one scam that they will target you for as part of the romance scams, because you took the bad guy gave you money, which is dirty money, had you put it in your account and then move it from your account to this third account. That's money laundering. Okay, you just cleaned his money for him. So that's one, but it all stems from the romance scam. And the romance scam too could just be a friendly scam to where, oh hey, I'm working on an oil rig. I've been out here for like 2 months working on here. I'm about to get some time off, but I can't pay for the helicopter to get off the oil rig. Can you send me like $1,000 so I can do this? And then when I get there, I'm going to grab a flight and I'll come see you. Okay. And so they get you to send the like $1,000 for the helicopter ride off of that, which doesn't exist. If there's a company that owns that oil rig, they are the ones paying for the shuttle,
right,
back and forth from the rig. It is not you as the worker that has to pay for it, or the worker doesn't have to pay for it. That guy is a scammer, and he's trying to get you to pay for it. And then once he gets when he says, I got to the mainland, I want to get a flight to see you. Oh, but I don't have the money. It's like $1,200 for the flight. Can you send me the money for the flight? So they don't want to say $1,000 nickel and diming you, but that's how they do it. Small amounts after small amounts after small amounts, and it just adds up over time. I'll give you a great example, which is a bit of a scary one too, but this shows you how lonely folks can be. I was working in our Ann Arbor office, and I was the duty agent at the time. And at night, I had the duty agent on a Friday night, and I got a call from my boss saying, "Hey, we got a hostage situation down in Mexico, and we might need you to handle it." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, I'm in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I'm very far away from the Mexican border. How am I going to deal with a hostage situation down in Mexico?" And what had happened was a lady called in and said that her fiance had been kidnapped and taken down to Mexico and was being held for $1 million ransom.
Oh my God.
And so I'm like, okay, once that happens, we get our crisis negotiators involved immediately. And the crisis negotiator got on the phone with her and started talking with her. It took about 2 to 3 hours, but figured out exactly what had happened here. She had met this guy on a romance site, and they dated over this romance site for about 6 months or so. And then after that 6 months, he proposed marriage. He was a surgeon from Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
And so she's like, absolutely, I'll marry you in a heartbeat. And so at that 8-month mark, they were getting ready to be married. She gets this call that he's been kidnapped and taken down to Mexico for $1 million ransom. And she told him, the hostage negotiator that she was on the phone with for the FBI, said, "You know what? Well, one of the things she found out, have you ever seen him in person? You ever met him in person and met in person?" And she said, "No." She's like, "Okay, so you're going to marry somebody that you've never met in person before." Like the hairs in the back of your neck should be standing up. You should be going, "Oh my gosh, how did this person fall for this?" And the worst, or the scarier thing is not only that, but she said, "The only reason I'm calling you guys right now is because I don't have the $1 million to send." I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So,
Would have sent $1 million.
Like you ask yourself, how did this happen? But she was very lonely, and she went on this romance site and found somebody that she connected with, and it was a scammer. I mean, that's how these guys are. They're really good at what they do. I mean, really good. And she fell for everything this guy said to her online. So that is a good tale to kind of drive home, like how good these guys are, and that the fact that she said that the only reason I'm calling you is because I don't have the $1 million to give says something about how good these guys are and convincing they are.
Did they get any money out of her?
No, she called us and they got no money out of her. Thank goodness.
That's just a huge blessing. Before I let you go, I want to ask you about one other scam, and that is the lottery scams, because I think our group would fall into the lottery scam category very easily. Is that a big one?
Sure, it is. It's the lottery, we call it, and plus sweepstakes scam that we talk about. And there's quite a bit here too, where a lot of these are perpetrated by either emails or physical mail in your mailbox, to where you get a letter saying that you've won, the lottery, and or you've won a Mercedes, or you've won the Publishers Clearinghouse, and they'll make it look like the Publishers Clearinghouse, but it's not. Okay, so you get the letter in the mail saying this. All you got to do is contact these people at this number, and they give you the number to call them, and it's the scammer's number. You call them and say, "Hey, I won it. I want to claim my prize." "Oh, they're like, yeah, congratulations. All you got to do is pay the taxes on this, and we'll send you the money." And the taxes are hundreds of thousands of dollars on 8 million or 10 million or $20 million lottery winnings, or a $90,000 vehicle. Taxes are quite large. So that's how they get you. Okay, and they'll ask you to pay for it in money orders, gift cards, cash through the mail, wire transfers. They will, again, these are hallmark signs of when they start asking for these different kinds of payments, to be thinking to yourself, wait a minute, this doesn't seem right. I'm going to pay in gift cards. I'm going to pay, in cash through the mail. This doesn't sound right.
I need a money order.
Yeah, money order, all that stuff should be, bells and whistles should be going off in your head saying, wait a minute, this doesn't seem right. And that happens, and they can parlay one scam into another. I've got a great example of one to where this gentleman, again, when I was in Ann Arbor, this gentleman's daughters had called and said, hey, my dad's getting scammed. He's 75 years old, and he's he got a letter saying that he won a Mercedes. He got another letter saying he won the lottery.
Wow.
He's got all you got to do is pay the taxes, just like I talked about. And he's sending him money in all different ways. He had sent money orders. He had sent cashier's checks. He had sent money through the bulk cash through the mail. And by the time that I got to him, he had already sent like $500,000 to these guys. And I went to his house and I talked to him, and he was actually on the phone with the scammers when I walked through the door. And I said, "Can I have the phone, please?" And I'm told, we know you're scamming him. Stop scamming him. And I hung up the phone. And I sat down at his kitchen table, and he told me what has happened. And the first question after he showed me the lottery letter, I go, "Did you play the lottery?" He said, "No." I'm like, "Well, then how can you win if you haven't played?" And he kind of sat there for a second, but the paper says I won. I'm like, "No, that's not real." And then I started to think, am I working with somebody who's at that age to where sometimes the mental faculties aren't all there and they're starting to decline a little bit? So I started, are we going to need to get them medically evaluated? Is the family going to need to do some kind of conservatorship or something, a power of attorney or what have you? And so after I got done talking with him, I showed him because he didn't believe me when I walked through the door of who I was. And I showed him my creds, my badge, my gun. I'm like, "I am who I say I am. If you don't believe me, you can call our office and I have you find the number. I'm not going to give you the number. You go find it, online someplace. FBI Detroit, call them and ask them if I exist, and to have them call me at my cell phone so you know that it's me." And I encourage that to anyone. If any law enforcement officer contacts you in any way, shape, or form, in person, online, over the phone, please, if you don't know who they are, say, "Hey, can I confirm your identity with your agency?" And I'm going to call them. I'll be right back. And then you make sure you are talking to an appropriate law enforcement officer. Any real law enforcement officer will not have a problem with that ever. Okay, so please know that. So he didn't really believe who I was, and he said, "Hey, I've already talked to the FBI about this, and I had checked our systems before I went out to interview him to see if he had contacted us previously, and he had not." So I knew when he said that, I'm like, what agent did you talk to? Agent Robert out of your Washington State office. I'm like, well, okay. A lot of bells and whistles went off in my head because we don't go by states. We go by cities as FBI. FBI Detroit, FBI Chicago, FBI San Francisco, LA, Dallas, not by states, not like FBI Montana. That's not how that works. FBI California, no. FBI Michigan, no. It's by cities. And so I'm like, okay, when did they contact you? What was it about? And it's like, well, I had told the scammers that I thought I was being scammed. And then 2 days later, I get a call from the FBI, this FBI agent, Robert. And he said that, "Hey, I think you're being scammed, and we're going to set up an undercover operation because we think we know who these guys are. But we need $45,000 seed money for the undercover operation." So unfortunately, our victim sent $45,000 to them for this quote unquote undercover operation. Again, law enforcement will never ask you for any money. I don't care if it's a local, county, state, or federal officer. Will never ask you for money. If they do, you need to call 911 because they're not real. Okay? They'll never ask you for money. We get budgets, from either the state or the federal government to give us money to do operations like this, undercover operations. We would never ask you to do that. So the undercover operation supposedly happened. They called him back the next day. It didn't go as well as we thought. The guys got away with the money, but we're thinking in 2 days we're going to try again. So they tried to get him to do it again, send him more money. And he's like, no, that's fine. I'm not going to send you more money. And then those guys stopped calling him, and he didn't call them back. The original bad guys started calling him again because they knew that law enforcement portion was over now. They had to go back to the original scam. So they got him to pay more money. And I had been through, after I had talked to him till the end of this whole scenario, he had $500,000 was lost before I got there. He continued because he did not believe me of what was happening. I think he had too much pride. Maybe he thought maybe he was being scammed. Maybe he wasn't. I can't be for sure. But he lost another $250,000. In the end, he had lost $750,000. He had turned 76 years old. He was estranged from his kids and his grandkids, and his wife was divorcing him because she didn't want to lose any more money, and he had to go back to work because he didn't have any money left.
Oh my God.
At 76 years old. And he did a manual labor job. And at 76 years old, that's not what you want to do. All because he fell for the lottery scam and the Mercedes scam. So it's a word to the wise. If you've been scammed and you realize that, or a family member thinks you're being scammed, don't be so prideful that you're like, no, it's not. I'm too smart for that. Just take it. Oh man, I can't believe I did that. Recognize that, have some self-reflection and go, oh man, this is terrible. How can I help myself? Because the more you go down the rabbit hole with these guys, the more money you are going to lose, and the worse off you're going to be, not only with yourself, but with your family members. And we don't want that to happen, because of the other, dark side to this is a lot of people who lose everything, they think that's it.
Right.
And they end up committing suicide. And that's what we want to prevent that. So don't be too proud to say something.
And I'm also hearing a message there that the kids got to stay in touch with grandma and grandpa.
Yes.
And this is very serious, because we can be scammed, and especially if we're lonely, or if we think we won the lotto. Of course, it wouldn't hurt to have played the lotto.
Right.
That's just a thought. It'd be good if you had a ticket, a little scratch off there in front of you.
Right.
But boy, I could just, and a lot of this has to deal with just unrealistic expectations and loneliness and other factors that, gosh, you guys have your work cut out for you.
Yes, these are not easy to investigate. These are very difficult because the bad guys are using really sophisticated means to perpetrate them. Hard to trace numbers, hard to trace internet IP addresses, and all kinds of encryption. So we have our work cut out for us, that's for sure.
Well, we just want to thank you so much for being our guest here again on It's a Grand Life. We have covered a number of the scams with Supervisory Special Agent Brian Drake of the FBI and the Detroit office. And we hope you'll come back again and share with us anything that is pertinent to what's going on right now. Maybe if any updates on the cryptocurrency scandal, or the grandparent scandals, or the romance scams, or the lottery scams. Lord have mercy, you've got a ton of them. But thank you so much for being our guest, and we're going to promote this and get this out to the whole country if possible. And again, for more information, go to IC3.gov, the Special Internet Crime Complaint Center for the FBI. This is very serious. We are the Supervisory Special Agent Brian Drake. He is not playing. He's dealing with real cases. The examples he gave are folks that lost real money. And at a Grand Life, we don't want the next victim to be you. We know that it's tough to support these grandkids you're raising, and you are such a blessing to them and to us. But please heed this counsel today. And again, Supervisory Special Agent Brian Drake, thanks so much for being our guest. And do you have any final thoughts to our listeners before we let you go?
Just stay safe, be mindful of what's going on out there, educate yourself. IC3.gov is a great place to do that, because these scams are explained in detail on that site, so you can learn about them. And also any new scams that come up, they're always updating the stuff on IC3.gov. Go there and look at this stuff, educate yourself. Only way that we're going to help these our fellow citizens is through education. And we want all you guys to be safe. So thank you for having me.
Oh, anytime. Thanks so much for being our guest on It's a Grand Life, and Lord willing, we'll see you again soon. Thank you for joining us today for It's a Grand Life. It's a Grand Life provides vital content, regulatory updates, and subject matter experts that are committed to supporting the 2.4 million kids and their caregivers from every neighborhood, every city, every tribe and territory nationwide. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts and leave a review. Every new subscriber and review helps us reach others that need assistance. As caregivers, we are united in purpose. We are driven by hope while providing strength for today and hope for tomorrow. We are truly making a difference while living the grand life. If you have a suggestion for a future episode, please reach out to us. But we'll see you next time for another It's a Grand Life. Thank you for joining us.